Instructional Services, Dr. Julie Duclos-Greenwood, as well as her instructional team. So at this time, I would like to invite them up.
Thank you, Marcia. It is certainly an honor to be here with you today and to share some of the resources and supports that we provide you from Instructional Services. I want you to know it's so exciting to see each and every one of you and see that you're embarking upon the beginning of your journey. For those of us that are veterans and been here many, many years, it's just a beautiful thing to see teachers who are ready to make a difference in the world, to leave something behind. With that, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what the Instructional Services Department will do for you. As a beginning teacher, you're going to be faced with a lot of things. One thing you're going to be faced with right away are the challenges of your job. For example, to show you how well I understand fractions, I only did half of my homework. So you'll know I can do my fractions, I just did half. That's just one of the easier challenges you'll be facing soon. Also, resistance. Quite a bit of that. All I'm saying is we plug these into Excel, let it do its thing, and we can play until lunch. Just put it in Excel. Let it run. Believe it or not, you might have some opposition. Oh, Mrs. Anderson is beginning to recognize your handwriting. So I'll need you to do my math homework now, Dad. It'll change for Mom. But the most important thing that you'll be faced with, the beautiful thing that you'll enjoy and celebrate every day, are your successes. Something like this. Want to hear a scary story? This is the third time I've gotten off the bus this week and I remembered what I learned. It's a small success, but you will celebrate it. We have 3 goals in the Instructional Services Department for year 2015-16. The most important one is to increase your content knowledge and the understanding of the teaching standards. We want you to be able to dissect those standards, to understand what they're saying, to be able to use that information to transfer it into implementation so that it will maximize your students' achievement. We also want to help you enhance your teaching quality through the use of best instructional practices. Those tried and true research practices that say students are motivated and really turn them on to learning. And we want to help support the development of your student engagement and your ability to provide instruction with academic rigor. This is in line with the New Hanover County mission statement that we work in collaboration with our parents and our community to provide an excellent education, safe and positive learning environment to help our students reach their full potential for the world yet to be imagined, to reach, equip, and achieve. To that end, we have 2 support areas. We want to focus on significantly decreasing the variation in performance of the highest and lowest gaps in our schools and our students' academic performance. We also want to make sure we have successful implementation of the New Hanover County Standard Course of Study, as evidenced by increased student achievement. We have a lot of people here to support you, to make your job easier, so that when you have questions, you have somebody you can turn to, not only your mentors, but also the Instructional Services Department. I'd like to introduce a few of those very special members to me, to you. Some of them are with us today, and some of them are in training. But I'm going to introduce who we have. Stephanie Beddard, I'm not sure if Stephanie. She is our K-8 ELA lead teacher. And so just remember Stephanie, she's there if you have any questions. Thank you for being here. Maria Black, I don't think Maria's here, but Maria is our ELA. She works for the, not the ELA, but she looks for the ESL department as our lead parent liaison. Sean Gould, ESL lead teacher. And you say, well, I don't know these people yet. I promise you, you will soon. Wendy Kraft is our supervisor of online learning, and Wendy is not here with us today. Travis Matthews, social studies, foreign language, lead teacher. Katie Martin, Math Science lead teacher. She's not, there she is. I'm sorry, Katie, I didn't even see you. Thank you, Katie, for being here. Tim McCoy, our arts supervisor. And we're talking arts supervisor, we're talking PE, no, we're talking not PE, we're talking music, we're talking art, we're talking all of the arts, okay? Just one role. Dr. Kim O'Brien, she is our supervisor of professional development. Donna Sloan, AIG supervisor, could not be here today. Susan Hitt, 912 ELA, State and Graduation Project Supervisor and Coordinator. Barbara Usry, Math Science Lead Teacher. Jane Emma, not here with us today, but she is working as the Health and PE Lead Teacher. She's a half-time Health and PE Lead Teacher plus a half-time FLE Direct Instruction Teacher. Laverne Pickett, our Career Technical Education Supervisor, and Courtney Motes, who I don't think she's here with us today, but she's our MTSS Lead Teacher and Liaison. So if you would you join me in giving our instructional team a hand?
And I want to say, we give you a round of applause.
Instructional Services will provide you support in a variety of areas. If you need help with English Language Arts K-12, STAY, which is called Striving to Achieve Excellence, AIG Services, ESL, Social Studies, World Language, Math K-12, Arts Education, we're here for you. These are all the areas that we support. This is our home page. So if you go on the Unova County website, you'll be able to see this is our home page, and these are also links to areas that you can find more information about. So if it would be middle school electives, it could be parent resources, report cards, K2, and we are also in the process of changing this and revising this. We're always changing it because things change, policies change. But I just want you to know that this is on our homepage. You can look on our homepage and you can click on all these different links to find additional information that may or may not be covered today. And we're here to support you for many reasons. But one of the main reasons we're here is to make certain that all of our students from pre-K on are college and career ready. We begin thinking with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey says. We begin by looking at our data and using our data to drive our action steps. For example, if we look at 13-14 to 14-15 graduation rate, you will see that New Hanover County didn't do too badly. We didn't really knock it out of the park, but we didn't lose a whole lot of ground. If you look at all 81.4 to 81.6, that's our graduation rate for all students. And what's really encouraging is the 28.6 to the 51.4 jump for our limited English proficient students, and 53.7 to 64.2 for our students with disabilities. We're encouraged that our graduation rate is changing, that it's improving, but we still have areas to work on. This slide shows you graphically how much change we've had. Now, do we want our all to improve? Absolutely. We've made some gains, but we want to continue this incline. Reading, grades 3 through 8, and this is just a limited amount of data that I'm reviewing with you today. We've held our own in grades 3 and 4, but look at grades 5, 7, and 8. Oh, we decreased a little. It wasn't huge, but do we want to decrease? We want to keep going up. So even though we did better than some of our surrounding counties, we know for a fact we can do better than this. And in Hanover County, we reach high to be the very best, not only in North Carolina, but in the nation. Mathematics, grades 3 through 8. We see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, some gains, not huge, but some. Grade 8, we really want to work on. But as you work to become a stronger teacher, and as you begin this journey, you're going to begin by not sure even who to ask or where to find the information you're going to need. And you're going to move slowly to knowing exactly what resources you have, what's available, and how you're going to be able to maximize those to meet the needs of every child in your classroom. And when that happens, you'll be able to understand your next steps. So today, our goal of Instructional Services is to help you do exactly that. Some of the supports we provide is something, I don't know, anybody in here ever heard of multi-tiered system of supports? Good, good. Multi-tiered system supports is our way of providing individualized instruction for each and every student. For example, if you look at Tier 1 instruction is really your core instructional program. This is what all students receive. It's all students' instruction to make sure that they receive the same instructional content of everybody. Plus, they have the increased rigor and academic challenge that every student in your classroom has. But as you know, even if you differentiate, some students will not master all the content in Tier 1. When that happens, they may have to move up to Tier 2, which is the targeted instruction. And in targeted instruction, what happens is that some students will receive smaller group differentiation, they'll receive additional intervention, more progress monitoring. But even with those students, a few, and just a few, will move to Tier 3, the intensive area. The intensive area is where you get the core instruction, you get the differentiation, you get more intensive instruction, but you do frequent progress monitoring, frequent, intensive intervention, even one-on-one intervention. So we support the multi-tiered system of supports. This is the Kansas multi-tiered. It's the same as ours. It's a good slide because it depicts actually what we do at all, some, and few levels. For example, all students use evidence-based core instruction, all students. And what we do is compact instruction, and we differentiate the instruction in order to make sure that we are giving the intervention level that each child needs. To this end, we provided you with the New Hanover County Teaching and Learning Framework. I think you have a copy on your table. Do you want to take a look at that? And this is just the cover of it. This document can be located on the Instructional Services website. Essentially, the New Hanover County Teaching and Learning Framework is a document that will provide you with guidance in each one of the areas. It overviews the frameworks of instruction that we believe supports our core instruction the best and provides most best practice for you to understand and deliver your instructional content. If you review this document, you will see it goes through each one of the subject discipline areas, for example, English Language Arts, Art, Music, PE. And we're always revising this document as well. But this outlines our core instructional program and the frameworks and philosophies of which we drive our instructional program. Okay, it's your turn. If you would, turn to a partner or members of your group right now. You have some Post-it notes. And think about this. Given your current role, what questions do you have about resources available in Instructional Services? And take about 5 minutes and write them on your Post-it notes. There you go. Good job. Thank you. Great questions. I want to say thank you so much for your questions. Absolutely fabulous. You're going to be in a new role that's going to take you to wonderful and unimagined places. Will you be an inspiration?
Number 4 says, believe it's possible. Believe it's possible. Oprah Winfrey said, you don't get what you want, you get what you believe. Beliefs are it. And I'll tell you my favorite belief story. I met this guy. He just died a couple years ago. He was 81. But when he was 61, He shows up in Sydney, Australia for a race that's 850 kilometers, a little over 600 miles. And everybody there is like 20, 30. It's an extreme race. It's a 6.5-day race. And they're all dressed in their Nike, Puma, Asics, Reebok running gear. They're all looking pretty young and fit. And here's a 61-year-old guy wearing Oshkosh overalls, a T-shirt, a baseball cap, construction boots, and galoshes because he thought it might rain. And they're all going, "Old man, what are you doing here?" "I'm running a race." "You ever run a race before?" "Nope." "You're starting with a 6.5-day race?" "Yep." "Why?" "It was free on my schedule and I always wanted to run a race." "What makes you think you can do this? Do you ever run a marathon?" "No." "Do you ever have any training?" "No." "Do you ever work with a coach?" "No." "Well, I'm a farmer and I have to chase my animals around because I don't have a tractor or a horse. And I herd them. Sometimes the storm's coming in and I got to run over here and get the cows. And I might be out there for 24 hours. I think I can run." So the race starts and they all take off and they're really fast. And here's Cliff, like this. They later dubbed it the Cliff Young Shuffle. See, but Cliff had an advantage that nobody knew. Cliff had never had a coach, never talked to an elite runner, never understood anything about long-distance running, had never read a book on it, had never read Runner's World. And so he didn't know you're supposed to run for 18 hours and sleep for 6. So that night, when everyone was so far ahead of him, they went to bed, he was so far behind him, he didn't know it. That night, he just ran right by him. And Cliff ran nonstop for 5.5 days, never sleeping, and broke the record by 12 hours. 61 years old.
You reckon you'll make it all right? No worries. With this team behind me, I'll make it all right. Make it. We've been practically there now. But I'm fairly fresh. If there's a good sort around, I'll take her out, I reckon.
Do you reckon you'll be ready for a good sort when you get to Melbourne?
Yeah, I'll have a bloody oath. There's plenty down there too, isn't there? I'm going to have a shower in Melbourne, you know, and clean my teeth. I haven't cleaned my teeth since the rain started. Couldn't find any water. Well, you start off in the black jacket, I don't know where anything is. You haven't got time, really. Going to have a shower and a shave, and what's that other thing starts with S? Over 3, I think.
Day 5. More rain and 175 kilometres of solitude. A record is broken. Joe record. Demoralised, he's caught by Purdon. By now, they're 50 kilometres behind, and Cliff is showing the stamina of a Zulu warrior.
Can't beat the other little bloke. What? Can't beat the other little bloke. No.
No, it's really good. Pretty good now. Still strong. Yeah, I'll make it.
Tonight?
Yeah, about 11 o'clock perhaps. Around about 11. Yeah, see you in Melbourne about 11, I hope.
They go straight through?
Yeah, only stop now and again like this, a bit of food and change shoes, that's about it. Won't stop for long, won't rest, I don't think. No time to rest. And the fellas are coming up behind. Got to go hard and see to keep them back.
Well, why'd you go to the front so early?
Oh, I like the front position. Like, see, I let them, the first day I let them run themselves out, and then I took the lead at night time, and I've held the lead ever since. I don't mind the front. If I can get a good break about,
You're too strong in there.
20 or 30 kilometres, you can sort of gauge it. You can relax when you get a good lead, and then when they start to come go out again. It's not bad.
Well, the other blokes have trained for months and done all the science. What's your secret, do you reckon?
Oh, you just got to keep going, I think. You can't relax. You've got to keep the pressure on. You can't. It's not easy. It's tough. It's a tough run. The pressure's there all the time.
Don't get cold, Cliff.
What sort of runner would you say you are then?
Oh, I've got no experience. Born and bred out in the bush runner. One of the old style runners. That's about it. No science. No, I'll just get this in our mouth and this one.
Now, when I say elite sportsman, you automatically think of a 61-year-old potato farmer wearing gumboots, don't you?
Sometimes you have events that sort of tickle a nation's funny bone, or something grabs their attention, and with Cliff Young, it appealed to us on so many different levels.
And he used to run in gumboots. He was the worst dressed sports person we've ever had. These days, of course, you know, Nike would have been there getting very special slick gumboots.
Cliff Young was, as his name suggested, young at heart. He embodied the never-say-die attitude many aspire to, but few achieve.
What the interesting thing about Cliff Young is that he wanted to do it, and it was remarkable what he did. I mean, he didn't cheat. He actually did it.
Oh, it's been a very tough run. The hills all the way to here, anyway.
And day after day, Cliffy Young, the Cliff Young Shuffle, and the whole nation fell in love with him.
Incredibly, at age 61, Cliff became the oldest marathon winner, and he took 2 days off the previous Sydney to Melbourne race record.
Do you think that you're going to make it all the way?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm going to run all night tonight, and I hope to finish tomorrow night sometime.
And he strutted the field. He just ripped them wide open. Kept going to Melbourne. If they hadn't stopped him, he would have finished in Perth.
Cliff was awarded the first prize of $10,000. He promptly gave $2,000 to each of the 5 other runners and kept nothing for himself. An impressive and generous man, that Cliff.
Cliff, would you do it again? Would you do it again? Oh, no, I don't think so.
Cliff Young was an impressive guy, wasn't he? I mean, it's amazing to me, a potato farmer with that type of determination, a man who actually only trained by going back and forth, running his animals around in his farmland. No training. They said he'd never win, but he did. Now, who are you going to be? Are you going to be an instigator? Are you going to be the person that says, what if, what not, or says, let's go? Are you going to be the cheerleader or have a cheerleader who supports you, who believes in you, who won't let you down? Or are you going to be a taskmaster, one that actually takes a few risks, but one that challenges others and doesn't matter about the odds? Or a connector, who can connect the things that you do with the people that you reach? And you're going to be challenged by the doubters, people who have awareness, people who have problems. But we know that awareness and problems, those challenges, even the doubts, help us establish the first step to a solid strategy. Or are you going to be the example? Are you going to be there? Are you going to have it done? Because we know that will result in ultimate knowledge. Or you could be like Rita Pearson, who Rita Pearson says, every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they will be the best they can possibly be. But my question to you is, can you be the champion?
I have spent my entire life either at the schoolhouse, on the way to the schoolhouse, or talking about what happens in the schoolhouse. Both my parents were educators. My maternal grandparents were educators. And for the past 40 years, I've done the same thing. And so needless to say, over those years, I've had a chance to look at education reform from a lot of perspectives. Some of those reforms have been good, some of them have been not so good. And we know why kids drop out. We know why kids don't learn. It's either poverty, low attendance, negative peer influences. We know why. But one of the things that we never discuss, or we rarely discuss, is the value and importance of human connection. Relationships. James Comer says that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. George Washington Carver says all learning is understanding relationships. Everyone in this room has been affected by a teacher or an adult. For years, I have watched people teach. I have looked at the best and I've looked at some of the worst. A colleague said to me one time, they don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson. The kids should learn it. I should teach it. They should learn it. Case closed. Well, I said to her, you know, kids don't learn from people they don't like. She said, that's just a bunch of hooey. And I said to her, well, your year is going to be long and arduous, dear. Needless to say, it was. Some people think that you can either have it in you to build a relationship or you don't. I think Stephen Covey had the right idea. He said you ought to just throw in a few simple things, like seeking first to understand as opposed to being understood. Simple things like apologizing. You ever thought about that? Tell a kid you're sorry, they're in shock. I taught a lesson once on ratios. I'm not real good with math, but I was working on it. And I got back and looked at that teacher edition. I taught the whole lesson wrong. So I came back to class the next day and I said, look, guys, I need to apologize. I taught the whole lesson wrong. I'm so sorry. They said, that's okay, Miss Pearson. You were so excited. We just let you go. I have had classes that were so low, so academically deficient that I cried. I wondered, how am I going to take this group in 9 months from where they are to where they need to be? And it was difficult. It was awfully hard. How do I raise the self-esteem of a child and his academic achievement at the same time? One year I came up with a bright idea. I told all my students, you were chosen to be in my class because I am the best teacher and you are the best students. They put us all together so we could show everybody else how to do it. One of the students said, really? I said, really? We have to show the other classes how to do it. So when we walk down the hall, people will notice us. So you can't make noise, you just have to strut. And I gave him a saying to say, I am somebody. I was somebody when I came. I'll be a better somebody when I leave. I am powerful and I am strong. I deserve the education that I get here. I have things to do, people to impress, and places to go. And they said, yeah. You say it long enough, it starts to be a part of you. And so, I gave a quiz, 20 questions. Student missed 18. I put a +2 on this paper and a big smiley face. He said, Miss Pearson, is this an F? I said, yes. He said, then why'd you put a smiley face? I said, because you on the roll. You got 2 right, you didn't miss them all. I said, and when we review this, won't you do better? He said, yes, ma'am, I can do better. You see, -18 sucks all the life out of you. +2 said, I ain't all bad. For years, I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. And kids can be cruel. And so she kept those things in her desk, and years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, you know, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear. Can we stand to have more relationships? Absolutely. Will you like all your children? Of course not. And you know your toughest kids are never absent. Never. You won't like them all, and the tough ones show up for a reason. It's the connection, it's the relationships. And while you won't like them all, the key is they can never, ever know it. So teachers become great actors and great actresses, and we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
The ability to connect with one adult. Doesn't have to be a parent. Somebody that believes in that child, just one person, can overcome any at-risk factor. You can be that person. And you never know when you're going to be that person. I'm going to tell you a true story. I was a special educator for 7 years, and then I decided I was duly certified regular ed special ed, so I decided I needed some experience on my regular ed certificate. And I said, well, I'm going to teach 4th grade, so I decided to teach 4th grade. First year of 4th grade, it's totally different than special ed. I mean, this is just, you think, well, you could teach one thing, teach another. Totally different. Good experiences nonetheless. So before school, you know how you get the class rosters? Well, you guys are going to do this thing on a computer, you know. We didn't do that. Back in my day, you just had a piece of paper handed to you. This is your roster. And all the teachers were like, let's see your paper. What'd you get? Who'd you get? Who'd you get this year? Because they'd been there for years. I'm brand new. I'm like, oh, I'm looking. All of them crowded around me. Oh, my gosh, you got Johnny. I said, oh, I got Johnny. What's that mean? Oh, you just don't know. Johnny's something. Johnny's been around here since kindergarten. I'm telling you, he has about tore this school apart. He doesn't listen. He's all over the place. You in for it. Just thank God I didn't get him. That's all I can tell you. So I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, I got Johnny. But this must be really something. Well, funny thing is, Johnny walks in. And he sits down, and, you know, I could tell he's a little active. But he's not all this. I mean, they acted like he was going to be, like, jumping off the roof. And I was like, and they walked in, they said, my colleagues, they said, why is he acting like that? I said, I don't know. I don't know. He's acting fine. Well, a week later, he comes up to me. He says, you played with my daddy when you were little. I said, I played with your daddy. He said, you played with daddy? I said, I really don't think so. I said, I don't think I did play with your daddy. So I just kind of discounted it and walked away. He continued to do well. Amazingly well. In fact, principal will walk through. You know how principals walk through. You'll get used to this. They walk through, and principal used to just kind of fly right through the room. But she'd go like, look at Johnny, and then and then walk on out. So I was like, okay. And then Johnny started learning, actually. He had not been learning much. I mean, he was like 2 or 3 years behind, and now Johnny's starting to read. So now they're really getting freaked out. Everybody in the school's a little freaked out. And it was not because I was any better teacher. I can promise you, I was a first-year 4th grade teacher. Even though I had special ed background, I wasn't any better than any. And my veteran teachers were much stronger teachers than I was. But Johnny was starting to read. Nobody could figure it out. I certainly couldn't. All right, about March, he comes up. He says, you know, again, and he'd had about every 2 weeks tell me I was playing with his daddy. And I was thinking, this is just really funny. I don't know what I was doing, but I was doing something, okay? But I don't think I did it with him, so I don't know. So Johnny comes up and he says, March, he says, you play with my daddy, and I can prove it. I said, well, okay, all right. And I've heard this all year. So I go over to my teacher, who's my mentor at the time. I said, he keeps telling me I played with his daddy. I played with his daddy when I was younger. And she said, oh, no, you couldn't have. You know all that. No, I don't think that happened. I said, no, I don't. So about a week later, he comes in and he throws this Polaroid photograph on my desk. I mean, he just slings it, which I don't blame him. And he says, see, I told you play with my daddy. And make no mistake about it, it was me. And I was just I've always been kind of short and chunky, but I was really short and chunky back then. And I had these cat eye glasses on, and I was leaning over this birthday cake. And I can tell you, that little fella he said, that is my daddy. So I took that Polaroid picture, you know, the Instamatic ones, because we didn't have any fancy digital ones back then, to my mother. I said, who is this? She looked at that, she said, oh my gosh. She said, where were you? I said, I don't know. I thought that's why I'm asking you. And she said, well, I was about 6 years old at the time. She said, I know him. Yes, you did play with his daddy. So, to me, that was an experience that really changed my life as a teacher. It didn't matter if I was a good teacher, because I wasn't, not then. It didn't matter that he had a reputation of being one of the worst children in the world. What mattered was a connection. Even before I met him, I played with his daddy. Those personal connections matter. If you keep those personal connections in mind, take them seriously, you'll make a difference in the life of each and every one of the children you teach. Thank you. You have a wonderful year. I can tell by you're going to be a great group, and New Havre County is so fortunate. It is us that needs to give you a hand. At this time, we're very proud of you, and we will give you a hand.